The station lights were still dim when Lena stepped out of her small apartment, holding her little daughter's hand. The great interspecies trade station around them was waking up slowly, glowing with blue and white lights. Aliens of many shapes moved through the large corridors, some floating, some walking, some glowing like fireflies. But Lena did not see any of them clearly. Her mind was full of fear. Today was the day she hoped nothing would go wrong. She looked down at Mira, her 6-year-old daughter, who held a small stuffed toy shaped like a pink star. Mira smiled up at her with sleepy eyes. "Mama, will I sit in the corner again today?" Lena forced a smile and brushed her daughter's hair. "Yes, my star. Just for today. Mama will find a real babysitter soon." But Lena knew she was lying. A babysitter cost more money than she earned in 2 weeks. She had no family, no friends on this huge station. Only Mira. As they reached the elevator, Lena checked the time, and her heart raced. She could not be late. The supervisor hated humans. If she was even 1 minute late, he would shout in front of everyone. They arrived at the main hall, where hundreds of workers rushed to their posts. Lena held Mira's hand tighter and walked toward her station office. The doors opened with a hiss, and the cold, sharp eyes of her supervisor Vrexel landed on her instantly. Vrexel was a tall, stone-skinned alien with glowing yellow cracks running across his face. He never blinked. He never smiled, and he hated the human staff more than anything. "You brought the child again," he said, his voice deep and cold. Lena bowed her head. "I'm sorry, sir. I had no choice. She will sit quietly. She will not disturb." Vrexel raised a hand sharply. "Do not speak unless I ask you. Put her in the corner, and if she makes even one sound, you will pay for it." Lena nodded quickly and led Mira to a small spot behind a stack of storage boxes. Myra sat on the floor, hugged her pink toy, and tried to stay small. Lena whispered, "Be strong, my star. I am right here." Then she hurried to her desk and began her work. She typed fast, checked inventory lists, arranged shipment documents, anything to look useful. All the while, Vrexel watched her like a hunter watching prey. Minutes passed, then an hour, then 2. Everything seemed normal until it happened. Mira's small toy slipped from her hand, hit the smooth metal floor, and bounced loudly. Clack, clack, clack. The sound echoed across the room. Everyone looked. Lena froze. Vrexel turned slowly, his yellow cracked skin glowing brighter with anger. "That," he said softly, "was a sound." The room became silent. Lena rushed to Mira and picked up the toy. "I'm sorry, sir. It was an accident." "She didn't mean enough," Vrexel shouted. His voice was so loud, even the floating workers in the upper platforms stopped. "You humans are always a problem. I should have fired you long ago." Lena felt her chest tighten. She stepped forward. "Please, sir, please. I need this job. I will work extra hours. I will." "You are done here," Vrexel growled. Then he said the words that cut deeper than any blade. "You are fired. Leave, now." Mira started crying softly. Lena held her tightly as her legs shook. She wanted to scream, to beg, to fight, but she knew it would only make things worse. Slowly, she picked up her small bag and walked toward the door. The workers whispered behind her back. Some looked with pity. Some looked with relief. Some simply looked away. Lena stepped into the long corridor outside the office. It felt colder than before. She could barely breathe. Mira whispered, "Mama, are we in trouble?" Lena forced a smile even as tears filled her eyes. "No, my star. We will find a way." But she did not believe her own words. She felt lost, small, and hopeless in the giant metal world around her. Yet she didn't know someone had seen everything. Up on the high balcony, hidden behind a glowing pillar, stood a new figure, tall, elegant, wearing dark official robes with silver patterns. The new station director. who had arrived only yesterday. He watched Lena leave with her daughter in her arms, and in that moment, something changed inside him. This was not the last time their paths would cross. This morning was only the beginning of the day that would change her life forever. Lena walked through the long metal corridor with her daughter in her arms, but the world around her felt blurry. The loud sounds of machines, workers talking, and transport ships landing far away, all mixed into one heavy noise in her head. She felt like she was walking underwater, slow and drowning. Myra held her pink toy tightly and rested her head on Lena's shoulder. She didn't cry anymore, but her tiny body trembled. Lena kissed her forehead and whispered, "It's okay, my star. Mama is here." But nothing felt okay around them. Aliens of different species moved aside. Some stared, some whispered, some shook their heads. Many knew what had happened. Word spread fast in a place as crowded as the station. Humans were rare here, and every mistake was magnified. Lena tried to walk faster, but her legs felt weak. Every step felt heavy, like she was carrying a mountain instead of her small daughter. Behind them, on a high walkway above the crowd, the new station director watched silently. His tall figure stood calmly, but his eyes followed every movement Lena made. He did not blink. He did not speak. But there was something in his expression, something like curiosity mixed with anger. He had seen everything, and his mind was already working. Lena, however, did not know she was being watched. She reached the central transport tunnel, the busiest place in the entire station. Bright screens displayed ship schedules, trading prices, and advertisements. The huge space was filled with noise, but for Lena, everything felt painfully quiet inside her chest. Mira looked up. "Mama, did I make you lose your job?" Lena stopped walking. Her heart broke into 1,000 pieces. She kneeled and hugged her daughter tightly. "No, never. You didn't do anything wrong. You are the best thing in my life." "But the men shouted because of me," Myra whispered. "No," Lena said again, her voice firm. "He shouted because he has no kindness." She stood up and forced herself to keep walking. She had to stay strong, not for herself, but for the little girl holding her hand. They reached a small human cafe at the corner of the hall. The light inside was warm, and the smell of fresh bread filled the air. It was always the one place Lena felt safe. The owner, Mr. Geron, was a friendly old alien with orange skin and soft eyes. He liked humans. When Lena entered, he immediately noticed her pale face. "Lena, what happened?" She tried to smile. "Just a hard morning." Mira sat on a cushioned seat, resting her head on the table. Mr. Geron looked at her red eyes, then at Lena's shaking hands. He understood without asking. "He fired you," he said quietly. Lena nodded. Her voice cracked. "Yes." The old alien placed a warm cup of tea in front of her. "Drink, you need strength." She wrapped her hands around the cup. Its warmth felt like the first good thing that had touched her today. Meanwhile, outside the cafe, a shadow stopped near the entrance. The new director. He watched Lena from a distance through the glass window. His face was unreadable, but his mind was sharp. Why was she fired? Why did the supervisor look pleased about it? Why was a child treated like a problem? He did not like injustice. His own culture believed that a mother who protected her child was honorable. What he saw earlier disgusted him without entering. He called one of his assistants through a small glowing device on his wrist. "Find me everything about the human woman who works in the trade office," he ordered. "Yes, sir," the assistant said. Inside, Lena thanked Mr. Geron and tried to appear strong. She wiped her tears and said, "I will look for another job. I will work anywhere. I just need something fast." Mr. Geron nodded kindly. "I will ask around, but humans, they don't get many chances here." Lena swallowed hard. She knew he was right. Just then, A group of workers passed by the cafe window, laughing loudly. One of them said, "She got fired for bringing a child. Serves her right. Humans never learn." Mira heard it. Her small face fell. Lena's fists tightened. She wanted to shout at them, but she didn't. She only pulled Mira closer. The new director heard the workers too, and his jaw tightened with anger. He turned slowly and walked away, his long coat flowing behind him like a dark cloud. His steps were calm, but his mind was burning. Enough, he whispered to himself. He had seen enough. By the time he reached the elevator to the upper level, he had already made a decision. He was going to find out the truth. He was going to confront her supervisor. And he was going to change Lena's fate, even if she didn't know it yet. This walk of shame would soon become the walk that changed everything. The upper levels of the station were quiet compared to the loud marketplace below. The air here felt colder, cleaner, and heavier with rules. Only high-ranking officials walked these halls, their footsteps echoing against polished floors. And today, those footsteps belonged to the new station director, Lord Arkenvalos. Arken walked with long, controlled steps. His dark cloak flowed behind him, its silver patterns glowing dimly under the lights. His sharp eyes were fixed forward, but inside his mind, scenes kept repeating. Lena holding her daughter, the supervisor shouting, the child dropping her toy, the room turning against them. A mother fired for protecting her child, to Arkan. It was not just unfair, it was dishonorable. He finally reached the central administration office. The large doors opened automatically as the system recognized his authority. Inside, workers stood straight, their voices lowering to whispers. The supervisor Vrexel hurried forward with a fake smile carved across his cracked, glowing face. Director Welcome. Please allow me? Arkan raised a hand, silencing him instantly. Do not pretend with me, he said softly, but his tone cut like steel. I have questions for you. Vrexel swallowed. His yellow cracks dimmed slightly. Of course, sir. Anything. Arkan walked into the main meeting room, and everyone followed nervously. He stood at the center table and looked around slowly, making each worker feel exposed. Finally, he turned to Why did you fire the human woman today? The room froze. Vrexel forced confidence into his voice. Sir, she was irresponsible. She brought a child into the workplace. The child caused disruption. She refused to follow rules. Arkan stepped closer until he was only inches from Vrexel. Is that the truth? His voice was soft but dangerous. Vrexel nodded quickly, sweating, even though his species was made of stone. Arkan tapped a button on the table. Security, he ordered. Bring me the surveillance from the trade floor today, all angles. Several guards rushed to the wall screens and began loading footage. Workers exchanged nervous glances. Vrexel's jaw tightened, the lights dimmed, and the large screen flashed to life. The recording began. There was Lena, holding her daughter's hand gently. There was no chaos, no misbehavior. She placed her daughter quietly in the corner and did her work without complaint. Then came the moment the toy fell. Clack, clack, clack. The sound echoed across the meeting room again. And then Vrexel appeared on the footage, shouting, humiliating, firing her without reason. The officers watching shifted uncomfortably. A few looked away from Vrexol. Arkan crossed his arms. Is that what you call irresponsibility? He asked. Vrexel stuttered. Sir, I was following station protocol. The child, the rules, Arkan interrupted sharply. Rules exist to protect people, not to abuse them. He turned to the workers. Did anyone else think Lena deserved to be fired? Silence. No one dared support Vrexel now. Some even shook their heads. Arkan walked back to Vrexel and said quietly, You lied. And your lie harmed someone who was already struggling. Vrexel's glowing cracks flickered in panic. Director, please, You suspended her position without proper cause, Arkin continued. You abused your authority. Then he looked at the guards. Remove him from duty. Effective immediately. Rexel's eyes widened. What? 2 guards grabbed his arms and began pulling him away. He struggled, shouting, I did nothing wrong. You cannot, Arkin spoke calmly. You will receive a full investigation. For now, you are unfit to manage anyone. Rexel was dragged out of the room, his angry voice fading down the hallway. When the doors closed, the room was silent again. Arkin turned to the staff. There will be new rules, he said. From today, no worker will be punished for caring for their child. He paused, and no worker will be fired without my direct approval. The workers exchanged relieved looks. Some even nodded in gratitude. Then Arkin said something none of them expected. Find the human woman. Her name is Lena. Bring me her file and her current location. Yes, sir. Assistants replied quickly and ran to their terminals. Arkin stood still, hands behind his back, eyes deep with thought. He remembered the way Lena hid her pain, the way she shielded her daughter, the silent strength she carried even while being crushed by unfairness. He respected that kind of strength. She would not be forgotten. She would not suffer alone, not under his leadership. As the staff hurried to gather information about Lena, Arkin made his silent promise, I will make this right. Far below, Lena still sat in the small cafe, unaware that the most powerful being on the station had just changed her fate. Lena finally returned to the lower living quarters of the station, a place where lights flickered. Pipes hummed loudly, and the air always smelled a little metallic. It was not beautiful, but it was home. At least, it used to feel like home. Today, it felt like a dark cave. She unlocked her small apartment and stepped inside. The room was quiet and cold. A single lamp flickered on the table. The walls were covered in small drawings. Mira had made stars, ships, animals, but even those bright colors could not lift Lena's heavy heart. Mira walked in slowly, dragging her little pink toy. She climbed onto the small sofa and curled into a ball. Lena knelt beside her. Are you okay, my star? Myra didn't speak. She only whispered, Mama, will we have food tonight? That one question stabbed Lena deeper than anything Rexel had said. Yes, Lena said softly, forcing confidence into her voice. I promise. She stood up, went to the small kitchen corner, and opened the food cabinet. There was half a packet of rice, a few noodles, and some dried fruit. Nothing more. She quickly closed it before Mira could see. We will make something nice, Lena said loudly, trying to sound cheerful. But after she turned her back, her smile faded. She held the counter with one hand and closed her eyes. How will I survive now? She whispered in her mind. She kept hearing Rexel's voice. You are fired. Leave, now. And the whispers of workers mocking her. And Myra's trembling voice. Was it my fault? Lena took a deep breath and wiped away her tears. A mother could break down, but not in front of her child. She cooked a small pot of rice. She added water to stretch it. She mixed dried fruit to make it taste better. Myra ate slowly, still quiet. After dinner, Lena tried searching for jobs on her old tablet. Most positions said, humans not allowed, or experience required, or full citizenship only. She lowered her head. Her hands shook. Myra climbed onto her lap. Mama, I don't want you to be sad. Lena hugged her tightly. I'm not sad, my star. I'm only thinking. But Mira pressed her ear against her mother's chest. Your heart sounds sad. Lena felt tears burn her eyes again. She swallowed them back. You're very smart, she whispered. And then there was a sound, a heavy metallic thud outside the door. Lena instantly froze. Her apartment was in a quiet corner. No one ever came here except neighbors. And they always knocked lightly, never like this. She gently placed Mira on the sofa. Stay here. Another thud, then another. Not angry but powerful, slow, controlled. She approached the door carefully and looked through the small viewing lens. Her breath caught in her throat. Standing outside was the same tall figure she had seen on the balcony earlier. The man with the dark robes, the glowing silver patterns, the sharp calm eyes. The new station director. Lena stepped back, confused and terrified. Why? Why is someone like him here? She whispered. She looked at Mira, then at the door again. A soft voice spoke from outside, deep and steady. Lena, may I speak with you? Lena's heart raced. How did he know her name? Only high-level officers had access to personal files. She touched the door panel with trembling fingers, unlocking just a small part. The door slid open a few inches. Lena peeked out. Sir, is something wrong? Arkanvalos stood tall, hands behind his back, but his expression looked surprisingly gentle. No, he said. Something was wrong earlier. That is why I am here. Lena opened the door a little more, but not completely. I don't understand. Arkan looked around the hallway, then back at her. I saw what happened today, and I saw how you protected your daughter. I came to speak with you personally. Lena blinked in shock. No one of his rank ever visited humans. Sir, I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything yet, Arkan replied. May I come in for a moment? Lena hesitated. Her apartment was small and messy. She felt embarrassed, but she nodded quietly and opened the door. Arkan entered slowly, his tall figure almost filling the small room. Myra peeked from behind the sofa. Arkan's eyes softened. Hello, little one, he said gently. Mira hid her face again. Lena stood nervously, unsure what to do with her hands. Arkan looked at her with calm seriousness. You were treated unfairly today, he said. Very unfairly. And that is why I came. Things will change. Lena felt her throat tighten. Sir, I appreciate this, but I don't expect anything. Arkan shook his head. You deserve better, and I will make sure you get it. Lena stared at him, unable to speak. For the first time that day, there was a small, fragile spark of hope in her heart, and he hadn't even started yet. For a long moment, Lena stood frozen in the small living room, facing the most powerful person on the station. It felt unreal. The new director's tall figure looked out of place in her tiny apartment. His robe brushed the floor, glowing slightly with silver lines, like soft lightning. His presence filled the entire room, yet somehow, it did not feel threatening. Arkanvalos looked around quietly. He saw the small drawings taped to the wall, the cracked table, the worn-out sofa, the half-broken lamp flickering. A mother's home, simple, poor, but full of love. He turned toward Lena. May we sit? His voice was deep, but gentle. Lena nodded quickly, embarrassed by the messy room. She moved a few toys aside and wiped the sofa nervously. Arkan sat slowly, careful not to scare the little girl hiding behind it. Mira peeked out again. Her big eyes stared at Arkan with fear and curiosity. Arkan lowered his head slightly, almost like a respectful bow. Hello, Mira? Mira blinked. Are you a boss? Arkan smiled softly. Yes, but only at work, not in your home. Mira stepped out a little. You're very tall. Many have said that, he replied with a hint of amusement. Lena felt her heart soften at the kindness in his tone. She had expected someone cold, strict, and distant. But Arkan was different. He looked powerful, yes, but also calm, thoughtful, almost warm. Lena sat across from him, folding her hands tightly. Sir, why are you here? Someone like you shouldn't come to a place like this. Arkan shook his head. Someone like me should go anywhere injustice happens. Lena looked confused. But I'm no one special. Arkan leaned forward. You are a mother protecting her child. That makes you more important than you think. Lena looked down, her eyes stinging. No one had ever said something like that to her. Arkin continued, "Your supervisor abused his power. He lied, and he hurt you." His voice hardened. "I will not allow that," Lena whispered. "Thank you. But what can be done now? I lost my job." Arkin's eyes glowed faintly with resolve. "That is why I am here. I came to talk to you, to understand your situation, and to offer you something better." Lena stared at him, shocked. "Better than my old job?" "Yes," Arkin replied calmly. "Much better." He reached into his robe and pulled out a small silver tablet. It activated the moment he touched it. A glowing hologram appeared above it, showing her name, ID, work record, and a new position request. Lena gasped. "Sir, what is this?" "It is your new assignment," Archon said. "If you accept." Lena's hands trembled as she leaned closer. She read the title, Assistant to the Station Director, Class B rank. Her breath caught. She looked at him with disbelief. "Sir, this position? It's 10 levels higher than my old job." "Exactly, but humans never get rank B positions." "They do now, but I'm not trained." "You are intelligent," Arkin said. "You work hard, and you stayed strong even when humiliated." He paused. "I want people like you on my team." Lena covered her mouth with her hand, overwhelmed. She had never imagined such a thing. She always believed humans were invisible here, a small group no one respected. Mira touched Lena's arm. "Mama, is this man an angel?" Lena laughed softly through her tears. "Maybe. A very tall one." Arkin's expression softened again. "This position comes with new benefits, higher pay, a safe workspace, and most importantly," he turned to Mira, "child care support. You will never have to hide your daughter again." Myra's eyes widened. "I get my own place." Arkin nodded. "You will have a learning room, with toys, books, and other children." Myra jumped happily, her pink toy bouncing in her hand. Lena held her chest, unable to breathe for a moment, the weight of months. Years of struggle suddenly felt lighter, but the moment of peace broke when heavy footsteps echoed down the hallway outside. Lena stiffened. Who is that?" Arkin turned his head, his eyes sharpening like a blade. "Guards," he said softly. "My guards." 2 tall armored aliens stood outside the door. They bowed their heads. "Directobalos." "The area is secured," one said. Lena blinked. "Secured? Why?" Arkin looked at her with a calm but serious expression. "You do not know this, but someone tried to delete your work record today." Lena froze. "What?" "Yes," Archon said. "Someone did not want you to get a second chance." Mira stepped closer to her mother, frightened. Arkin stood up slowly. His tall silhouette filled the doorway. "But you will," he said. "I will personally see to it." He looked at Lena again. "Tomorrow morning, you will report to the central office." He offered the silver tablet to her, "and your new life will begin." Lena took it with shaking hands, and for the first time in years, she felt hope burning bright inside her. The next morning came faster than Lena expected. She barely slept. Her mind replayed everything Arkin Valos had said, his calm voice, his promises, the silver tablet with her new position. It all felt like a dream she was afraid to wake up from, but morning was real, and today, she was no longer the woman who walked out of her job in shame. She dressed Myra in clean clothes, braided her hair, and whispered, "We will be brave today." Mira hugged her pink toy tightly. "I'm ready, Mama." When they stepped into the hallway, they were surprised to see 2 guards standing outside, waiting respectfully. They bowed. "Director Valos ordered an escort for you, Ms. Lena." Lena blinked. Nobody had ever bowed to her before. "Escort? For me?" "Yes," the guard replied calmly. "And for the child?" Mira whispered. "Mama, are we famous now?" Lena smiled softly. "Maybe just a little." They walked through the station corridors together. Workers who usually ignored humans now stared in surprise. Some whispered. Some stepped aside, offering space. Others looked confused, wondering why guards were escorting a simple human mother. But the real shock came when they reached the main hall. There, at the entrance of the central administration building stood Arkanvalos himself, tall, confident, cloak glowing slightly, and waiting for them. Workers bowed as he passed, but he kept his eyes only on Lena and Mira. "Good morning," Arkan said warmly. "I am glad you came." Lena lowered her head respectfully. "Good morning, sir." Mira waved shyly. "Hi again." Arkan's lips curved into the smallest smile. "Hello, Mira." He motioned for them to follow as he led them through the grand doors. The inside of the central office looked nothing like the dull room where Lena used to work. This place was massive, high ceilings, shining floors, glowing screens, and hundreds of workers moving with purpose. Lena felt small. Mira held her hand tighter, but Arkan walked beside them, making them feel safe. As they entered a large conference area, workers turned their heads. Their eyes widened when they saw Lena walking with the director. Some stood up straighter, some whispered urgently. Others who used to mock her now stared with fear or shock. Arkan stopped and faced the entire room. "This," he said firmly, "is your new assistant." Gasps filled the room. Lena felt heat rush to her cheeks. Arkan continued. She was mistreated. She was judged. She was humiliated for being a mother. That ends today. The workers exchanged uneasy glances. Arkan stepped slightly aside, giving space to Lena. It was the first time in her life someone powerful moved to honor her. He then announced, "From today, no worker, human or alien, will be punished for caring for family. This station will respect all lives equally." Several workers nodded. A few clapped quietly. Others bowed. Lena stood there, trembling with pride and disbelief. She had never imagined being part of something like this. After the announcement, Arkan led her to a private office. It was beautiful bright screens, clean desk, a comfortable chair, and a small play corner for children. "For Myra," Arkan explained. Myra ran to the corner immediately and touched the tiny holobooks and toys that floated gently in the air. Lena turned slowly, overwhelmed. "Sir, this is too much." Arkan folded his arms behind his back. "No, this is fair." Lena shook her head. "You didn't have to do all this." Arkan looked directly at her, his voice steady. "Yes, I did, because strong hearts deserve strong support." For the first time, Lena realized he wasn't just helping her out of duty. He respected her. She sat at the desk, touching the polished surface. It felt unreal. Yesterday she had been fired like she was nothing. Today she was sitting in the second most important office in the station. A soft knock came at the door. It was the old cafe owner, Mr. Geron. "I heard the news," he said, smiling kindly. "I came to congratulate you." Lena stood and hugged him warmly. "Thank you for everything." Arkan watched with quiet satisfaction. "You see, Lena," he said gently, "people remember kindness." Lena looked back at him, her eyes shining. "And I will remember yours, sir." Arkan nodded once. "There is still one more thing." Lena blinked. "More?" "Yes," he said. "Something important." He stepped closer, his expression serious. "Your former supervisor tried to erase your work records. This means someone powerful was protecting him. I must find out who." Lena felt a chill run through her body. "But do not worry," Arkan added, lowering his tone. "As long as you work with me, no one will ever harm you or your daughter again." Lena placed her hand on her heart, overwhelmed. "Thank you, Director Valos." He gave a slight bow. "Welcome to your new life, Lena." And as she looked around her new office with her daughter, smiling brightly in the corner, she finally believed something she never thought possible. Humans were not powerless. They were rising, and this was only the beginning. The day moved slowly in Lena's new office, but in the best possible way. She learned her new tasks, met new coworkers, some nervous, some respectful, and watched Mira play happily in her small learning corner. For the first time in many years, life no longer felt like a battle. But as the sun-like lamps dimmed to evening mode, Arkanvalos called for her. "Lena," he said from the doorway, "walk with me." His voice was calm, but his eyes were distant, thoughtful. Lena nodded, took Mira's hand, and followed him through the quiet corridors. Guards bowed as they passed. Workers stepped aside. The entire station felt different tonight. Quieter, heavier, almost waiting. Arkan led them to a private observation deck. The giant window showed a view of the stars outside, endless, shining, peaceful. Mira gasped softly. "Mama, it looks like we're floating." Arkan smiled gently. "We are. This station spins between two star currents. It is the safest place to watch the galaxy." Lena looked at the stars, then at Arkan. "Sir, why did you bring us here?" Arkan turned, his tall figure outlined by the glowing blue light. His expression was no longer the strong, calm leader she usually saw. He looked human, wounded, haunted. "There is something you must know," he said quietly. Lena held Mira's hand tighter. "What is it?" Arkan took a deep breath. The silver lines on his robe glowed softly as he spoke. "When I was young, my mother lost her job because of me." Lena's eyes widened. Arkan continued, voice steady but heavy with memory. "I was born sick, very weak. I could not walk for years. My mother took me to her workplace because no one else could watch me. She hid me under her desk. She fed me small pieces of food from her lunch. She worked twice as hard as everyone else." He paused. "But one day, someone found me. They reported her. And she was fired." The light in his eyes dimmed. "Just like you." Mira stepped closer, listening carefully. "My mother cried that day," Arkan said softly, "but she never cried in front of me. She smiled. She told me we would be fine. She said mothers are strong. But I knew. She suffered because of me." Lena felt her heart twist. Arkan gently touched the window glass with his fingertips. "That moment shaped who I became," he said. "I studied, I worked, I fought for leadership, and I vowed that if I ever gained power," his eyes met Lena's, "I would never let another mother suffer for protecting her child." Silence filled the room, a deep, emotional silence. Lena whispered, "Sir, I didn't know." Arkan shook his head. "You are not supposed to know, but you deserved to understand." Mira walked up to him and tugged at his sleeve. "Did your mama get a better job later?" Arkan kneeled slowly to her level, a rare, humble act for someone of his rank. "No," he said softly, "but she found peace later, and I made sure she lived a good life when I grew up." Mira touched his hand gently. "Then you're a good son." Arkan blinked slowly. Something warm flickered in his eyes. "Thank you, little one." Lena stepped closer. "Director Valos." "Arkan, thank you for telling us. It means more than you know." He rose again, tall and graceful. "There is one more thing." Lena frowned slightly. "What is it?" Arkan folded his hands behind his back. "There is still someone in this station who tried to erase your records. Someone higher than someone who fears equality." Lena felt a chill. "Why?" "Because change threatens those who hold power through fear," Arkan said calmly. "But I promise you this, no one will touch you again. No one will harm your daughter. Not while I lead this station." Lena nodded, trusting his words completely. Mira suddenly held out her pink toy. "Here, this is for you." Arkan blinked, surprised. "For me?" "Yes," Mira said. "You helped Mama, and you helped me. So you can have Star Bunny for one day." Lena laughed softly. "Mira, he's very busy." But Arkan took the toy with both hands, treating it like something precious. "I will guard it carefully." he said. Mira smiled. Then you're our friend. Arkan bowed his head. An honor. Lena looked at the stars outside the window. Yesterday, she was a nobody. Today, she stood beside the most respected leader on the station. Tomorrow, she did not know what would come, but she knew one thing. She was no longer alone. Arkan turned toward her and said gently, "Your life changed today, Lena, not because of power, not because of rank, but because kindness still matters in this galaxy." Lena placed a hand on her heart. "I will not forget this. Or you." Arkan smiled faintly. "Good, because this is only the beginning." And in that moment, standing beneath the stars, with her daughter by her side and a powerful ally before her, Lena finally believed it. Humans had strength, mothers had power, and kindness could move entire galaxies.